He then read many books on Indian tradition and studies as many books on Buddhism as he could find, discussed them and visited the ancient Buddhist cave in Maharashtra. The result was that in 1935 he declared that thought I was born a Hindu, I will not die a Hindu. This reached its climax when in 1956 in the city of Nagpur in central India, along with his 4 lakh followers, he embraced the three refuge of traditional Buddhism and took 22 additional vows. However, it seems that this journey may not have been continuous. Various options and strategies were adopted to fight caste pressure, which ranged from reforms in Hinduism exemplified by the temple entry movement and the choice of alternative religions to Christianity, Islam or Sikhism. It was around the mid-1930th century that Ambedkar began to see Buddhism as a viable alternative to Hinduism. In 1933, he decided to embrace Buddhism as an alternative religion. He even named his house a center of Buddha's techniques, Rajgriha. Even as Ambedkar became increasingly convinced of the legitimacy of Buddhism, he did not embrace it easily. Instead, he reinterpreted Buddhism in the light of radically modern ideas and imbued it with an Enlightenment sensibility where secularism coexisted with the ideals of equality, liberty, and fraternity. For him, Buddhism was based on reason, not religion, on ritual. Ambedkar reinterprets the technique of the Buddha to note that the great teacher himself becomes authoritative as the Buddha tells his disciple Ananda to find his own way based on reason and experience rather than rely on any scripture or path shown by others. Become a lamp to yourself, Ananda. Be a refuge to yourself. Avoid seeking refuge in any outsider. Hold fast to the truth like a lamp. Hold fast to the truth like a refuge. Look at refuge in no one but yourself. Then see how Ananda is a brother to the lamp and a refuge to himself. Ambedkar argued that while other prophets promised salvation, the Buddha was the only one who made two such promises. He distinguished between the Moksha-data and the Marga-data. According to the Ambedkar, the Buddha wanted each person to find his own path. Ambedkar declared that the purpose of Dhamma was to recreate the world and presented Buddhism as a world-transforming religion. He sought to salvage the original techniques of the Buddha and the fundamentals of the religion, which he thought that had become distorted by Brahminical process and had come to be seen as spurious interpretations. Thus, Ambedkar declared that he would not adopt the prevalent Buddhist ideas of the Four Noble Truths as they are not part of the original techniques of the Buddha. He considered this to be pessimistic and escapist concept. Suffering in the world is not self-inflicted by the individual. In fact, he argued that suffering in the world is caused by oppression of one group or individual by another group or individual. He emphasized that Buddhism does not preach permanent suffering but rather shows a way to end all suffering and pain in the world. He also rejected Buddhist tradition concept of karma, which was believed to be the cause of rebirth. He announced that since Buddhism rejects the existence of the soul, it is not possible to consider rebirth. Moreover, the ideology of karma, justice, and the caste system. Ambedkar also questioned the role of the Buddhist Sangha as the institution of the monastery demands spiritual enlightenment of the Buddhist monks. Instead, he wishes to give the Sangha a new direction when it is engaged in social service to the large public. Ambedkar did not want to Sangha to remain a self-contained and isolated world of monks and nuns. He envisioned it to emerge as a social service center working for the upliftment of the bhikkhu who is indifferent to the suffering of mankind but has a culture of the soul will not always remain a bhikkhu. Ambedkar laid great emphasis on Buddhist ideology of the middle way between the strict renunciation of the world and a hedonistic and luxurious life. He emphasized love, compassion, and goodwill towards all human beings, which are the virtue of Buddhism. Ambedkar held that Buddhism was the only existing worldly religion and not a religion from some other world. According to him, Buddhism was capable of liberating and oppressed people through its techniques of equality and justice. For him, Buddhism was true, moral, and rational. This religion does not believe in any god but believes in the individual being his own guide. At the same time, Ambedkar noticed the concept of social justice in Buddhism, which could be a plausible background for the concept of a theory of social action of Buddhism. Thus, both the individual and the social were part of his concept of Buddhism. He saw Buddhism as a solution against the exploitation and oppression of man, which could bring relief to the exploited and oppressed human beings. According to the Gail Ambedkar, Ambedkar moved the Sangh away from the image of an ideal communist society and believed that through the moral dhamma humans can transfer themselves as well as society. He argued that not only does Buddhism strive for equality, but its aim and essence is a welfare state in which the welfare of the destitute is a prime objective. Ambedkar gave a strong interpretation of Buddhism and called it Navayana to distinguish it from the existing school within Buddhism, Mahayana. Though his interpretation was entirely original, it was based on the early 20th century interpretation of Buddhism by Ayodhya Das and Lakshmi Narasu. Ambedkar's interpretation of Buddhism resulted in the Buddha and his Dhamma, published after his death. In it, he presented Buddhism not as a spiritual system but as a rational system that could transform the world and alleviate people's suffering. Ambedkar imagined a fundamental conflict between Hinduism and Buddhism. While he identified Hinduism as a religion of inequality and division, he extolled Buddhism as a rational religion based on equality and brotherhood. According to him, the decline and defeat of Buddhism resulted in the rapid division of society into caste and the spread of untouchability. Ambedkar also argues that most Buddhists who refused to be absorbed by the dominant new Brahman were declared untouchables. In this famous essay, The Untouchable, 1948, he argues that Dalits were Buddhists who were condemned as untouchables by the emerging Brahmins. On 40 October 1956, Ambedkar converted to Buddhism along with his family and about 4 lakh followers in a Diksha ceremony held in Nagpur. Ambedkar played an important role in the revival of Buddhism in India, and his death was termed as Mahaparinirvan, great journey, by his followers.